Hello, friend. This is Ryan Hicks of TaughtToProfit.com, and today I want to talk to you about, is the law of attraction New Age? Now, I get people every now and then that will say, oh, this is New Age, law of attraction is New Age religion and all this stuff. And this is unfortunately what happens with many things in Christianity, is that people come along and they push aside anything from Christianity because some new religion or an old religion, doesn't matter, but somebody they don't agree with has adopted parts of it. And this is why Christianity today is so weak and powerless, because anytime a new religion or new form of religion has come along and adopted some Christian principles and had some success with them, Christians have abandoned those principles and given them up to those new religions. And so over the centuries, it's become more and more powerless until now it is what it is today, which, look at most churches today. They're powerless. They're weak. They're ineffectual. They're inefficient. They have nothing to do with Jesus. They're not doing the greater works that he promised. They don't have any prosperity. They don't have any blessings. They're not benefiting the world. They're not making their communities a better place. They're just stagnating in mediocrity and in religion that's based only around mental assent. And anything that could even remotely be considered mystical has been pushed aside for this bland, dry, dull, powerless religion that they call Christianity, which has nothing to do with Christ at all. It's only Christianity in name. And I want to show you some scriptures and talk about what I'm talking about when I talk about law of attraction. Because one person said, well, I saw a testimony from this girl, how she was in the New Age and came to Jesus Christ. And one of her big things that got her into the New Age was the law of attraction. As if that somehow disproved law of attraction. Do you know all the numerous, probably infinite numbers of ways that people have gotten into New Age that has nothing to do with Christianity? Just because one person found it because of law of attraction, what about the people that find Jesus because I've made videos talking about the law of attraction? I show them from a biblical perspective, reorienting people back to Jesus, and they find Jesus that way. See, this is the short-sightedness that many people have, where they're just so fearful. Oh no, that's New Age. Oh no, that's mystical. Oh no, that's metaphysical. Oh no, that's this and that. And all these things just to label something and dismiss it, because they're terrified of actually having to have a religion that is based on power with God, walking with God, being led by the Spirit of God, and then actually having true fruit from that. It's so much easier to be a sinful, powerless, weak, pathetic being that calls yourself a Christian than to be someone who's holy, walking after holiness and purity, and has power with God and favor in this life. You can just keep on living the same worldly, pathetic, miserable life that you've been living as a sinner and call yourself a Christian in modern Christianity. But you wouldn't have lasted 5 seconds in the early church, where people didn't put up with that. Where people were abstaining from flesh, they're abstaining from wine, they're living holy lives, they're doing things that were righteous. God's favor was poured out upon them. And they had growing pains and they had things they had to learn, of course, like we all do. But it was a vastly different environment of favor and relationship with God compared to what is called Christianity today, which is unfortunate, because many people are walking into this thinking they just need to fall into line with believing some key doctrinal points and that's it. But your life isn't really changed any, except for the tiny little ways that you've made so you can get along with other church members. You know, don't cuss, don't watch certain television shows and all those things, which is good. But that is dressing up the rotten apple. That's putting a coat of paint on an apple that's rotting from the inside out, instead of cleaning the inside, cleaning the impure by the washing of the renewing of the Word of God, letting the Word of God cleanse you and purify you, and walking with God, and not being concerned if something is perceived as New Age because some religion came along, took ideas from this religion, took ideas from that religion, morphed them all together, and now you're afraid of anything that has to do with power with God. Proverbs 23:7 says, "For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he." This is a powerful principle. What you think about yourself, and you know this in real life. The person that's all beat up inside and they feel pitiful and they feel weak and they feel like they can't do anything, does that person become a great success? No. They go from one failure to another, one set of disasters to another, constantly, because as they think in their heart, so are they. That's who they are. If they feel like a loser and they believe in their heart they're a loser, they have the life of a loser. The same goes for the person who thinks they're a winner. They just, everywhere they go, they're constantly having good things and things are working out in their favor because that's what they believe in their heart is going to happen. And this is what Jesus said in Mark 11:23. If you believe that whatsoever you say, you believe it, you'll have whatsoever you say. That's powerful. Galatians chapter 6 verse 7 says, "Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap." Notice the key word there, whatsoever. Whatsoever a man soweth. From your thoughts to your actions, whatever you sow, you're going to reap. But what you sow is a seed that reaps a harvest of something down the line. This is why I encourage people to follow Philippians 4:8, which says, "Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things." That is something that most people do not want to do. Besides the spiritual aspect of it, you're actually physically rewiring your brain if you follow that. And that can be tiring for people. Your brain is rewiring constantly as you're doing this. When something negative comes in and you reverse it to think on something praiseworthy. You reverse it to think on something virtuous, something lovely, something of good report, something pure, something just, something honest, something true. When you keep doing that over and over, you're rewiring your brain, you're getting rid of all that bad wiring you have, plus you're purifying yourself spiritually, getting all that negativity and garbage out. You're casting your care upon the Lord, for he careth for you. You don't have to be anxious and worrying and fretting because that shows a lack of faith in God. And this is the law of attraction. Whatsoever you sow, you're going to reap. So when you have a thought life that is based on purity and truth and honesty and justice and loveliness, things that are of good report, things that are virtuous and praiseworthy, when you're only thinking on those things, now I'm not saying you don't have a thought come into your mind that you don't want, but when it does come in, you immediately cast it aside and start thinking on the praiseworthy things. When you do that, you will absolutely 100% start attracting more praiseworthy things into your life. Now, part of it may be just the reticular activating system where your brain is literally letting in more positive things. Instead of filtering those things out, now you're able to see them because you're looking for them. As the example I've given many times of when you get a new car, all of a sudden you start seeing those makes and models of cars all over the road. They didn't show up out of nowhere. They were always there. But now your reticular activating system is not filtering them out. So now you see them. They were always there. It's not magic. They were always on the road. You were seeing them every day, but you never noticed them. Now you do. But it goes even beyond that because God gives you favor when you do the right thing, when you think the right things. Because when you're anxious, you're thinking negative things. When you're worried, you're thinking negative things because anxiety and worry is lack of faith in God. It's not trusting in God. It's not casting your care upon Him. And so you attract negativity. This isn't New Age. This is scriptural truth. If you think of yourself negatively, you're constantly focused on negative things, you're sowing negativity, your life is going to be one that's going to reap negativity constantly throughout your life. But you can change all that. You can get focused on God. You can meditate in His Word. You can think of yourself in a way that He would want you to think of yourself as someone so worthy of life and life more abundantly that His Son died for you. and then you think on only those things that are true and honest and just and pure and lovely and good report and virtuous and praiseworthy, that will radically change your life, and that will attract more good into your life. Instead of shutting God out of your life and just bringing constant cursing and destruction and misery and failure into your life, you'll bring good things in your life. You'll bring blessing. You'll bring prosperity. You'll bring health. You'll bring life. Because the instrument God's given you in this life, one of them is your mind, to think, and those thoughts that you do think create your world. This isn't New Age. We all recognize this. The person with thoughts that are negative and destructive has a negative and destructive life. You never hear somebody saying, well, you know what, I was thinking about how terrible my life was and how I wanted to commit suicide and how I'm going to do some drugs, and everything just worked out great in my life. No, they had to have some change, a radical change, to get things back on course. The law of attraction is very simply sowing and reaping. Whatsoever man soweth, that shall he also reap. If you're sowing negative, destructive, contrary to God ideas throughout your life, that's what you're going to reap. If you're sowing praiseworthy and virtuous and good and honest ideas, that's what you're going to reap. Because you're focused on God and your faith is in Him. See, it's easy to think on those things when your faith is in Him. And it's impossible to think on those things when your faith is not in Him, because you're going to think about the negative things, the bad things, the poor things, the circumstances in life. Oh, things are scary and the world's awful and all these things you're going to think, and that's what you're going to reap in your life. And people around you might be having a great life, but you're going to be having the worst because your focus is on that and not on God. As Jesus said in Mark 11:22, have faith in God. That's the true law of attraction. You have faith in God. You focus on the good things in life. You cast your care upon Him. Let Him deal with things. You focus on thinking properly and acting properly, and your life will be blessed. And then you'll be able to bless other people as well. My friend, I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.